Now wait a minute. Now wait a minute. Y'all, I just skipped so much information. It would be real nice if I could have found that notebook. Hey, what's going on? My name is Hippie. Today I invite you to listen to my Hurricane Katrina story because I don't think I've ever really told it in full. I have maybe mentioned it a few times before, and there is another video where I talk briefly about it, but it really doesn't get into any of the details. It really doesn't get into it. And with the 20-year anniversary coming up, literally in a few days, I thought, why not do it now? Why not do the video now and kind of go over it, think about it again, reminisce, barf. I can't believe it's literally been 20 years. And thinking about it makes me feel like Rose from the Titanic when she says, "It's been 84 years." It's been 20 years though, and let me tell you, I have diary entries and I have notes, and I don't talk to all the people that were involved in this because there was a lot of people. I don't talk to all of them still, but some of them I am still friendly with and cordial with, and some of them not so much. I have a notebook. It was a journal, and it talks about it. But I just want to talk about it myself and share with you because that's what the internet is about. It's so much fun when you just share stories and people can listen to those stories, relate to those stories, may find comfort in those stories, and that's what I love about the internet. So today I want to talk about Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina made landfall August 29th in Louisiana and I guess Mississippi. Made landfall August 29th, 2005. It brushed past Florida, if I'm not mistaken, but that was a few days earlier. But it was very devastating for the Gulf Coast, the Mississippi area. Not a lot of the same landmarks that were standing before Katrina are still there to this day, if that gives you any idea how impactful Katrina was to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Louisiana gets all the spotlight, New Orleans specifically, which a lot of people in Louisiana are always like screaming about. They're like, it's not just New Orleans, it's us too. And you wanted to be wrong to assume that it wasn't just the New Orleans area that had impacts from Hurricane Katrina. But I can only really speak from my perspective, and I was going to high school literally like 5 miles from the city center, and that's 5 driving miles. It was literally across the river from New Orleans, but not technically New Orleans. The school that I attended was closed for multiple months after Katrina. In fact, I had to go to another school during the evacuation. Yes, you heard that right. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be a long one, so go ahead and maybe get something to drink. Get a snack, get some cozy little blankets and stuffies. Just snuggle in, get ready, because this is a pretty long story. And also, like, if it wouldn't have happened to me, I'd be like, there's no way, there's no way. But so many other people have stories just like what I'm going to tell you. It's crazy. But let's just get into it. So originally, I don't think anyone was really planning on leaving. Most people ride out the storm, and even to this day, I haven't. That was the only time I've evacuated for Katrina. Katrina was the first time I ever evacuated, And then I evacuated for Gustav, which all I did was evacuate to the North Shore of Louisiana. If you know, you know. My husband, his family, one side of his family was on the North Shore, so for Gustav, which was 2010, 2010, I don't know, I don't remember, 2009, 2010, it was something like that. But that was the only other storm I ever left for. We've had so many hurricanes, so many hurricanes. The only state that I would say rivals us is obviously Florida, because they get almost every single hurricane. Like, it almost always goes past them. Look, that might not be factual. That might just be me being like, yeah, every hurricane seems to come by us, but it really hits up Florida first. Florida gets more than us. Louisiana gets a lot, okay? But we don't have to be first in that race. We don't. Florida can have that one. Florida, I'm sorry. Y'all got that one. We'll come in second. It's okay. I don't want to be first this time. Anyways, I've dealt with so many hurricanes. So many hurricanes. I've dealt with so many hurricanes. And yeah, frankly, most people just ride it out. We just get our little supplies that we need, get some bread, some water, you know, all the little things. And you just kind of like wait for a couple days. It's usually storm comes through, power might go out for a day or two. If it's really bad, it will go out for a week or two. Okay, that's like if it's really bad. That the most recent time that I think the power went out for an extended period of time, power goes out like all the time over here. Okay, like there's so many different things that cause the power to go out, whether it is a barge hitting the energy supply, that's happened before, or a car hitting a power pole, or mylar balloons, believe it or not, and animals, power surges, breakers blowing. No, it's not called a breaker. What are those? Transformers. Transformers blowing. Yeah, I would say the infrastructure is not infrastructuring anymore. But, of course, obviously updates need to be made. But the power goes down here even when it isn't a storm. So like when it is a storm, we're usually preparing for a few days, at the worst, 2 weeks. At the worst, at the worst. And that's not to say everyone in the area will be out, but within 2 weeks, everyone in the area should be back up. But some people, it takes a little longer depending on where they're at. This isn't talking about that. We're talking about Katrina. Again, I've gone through so many hurricanes, but let's stop blabbering about them. Let's talk about the hurricane that is, it's coming on its 20-year anniversary. Barf out. So for Katrina, we were absolutely not planning on evacuating, my family and I. My dad was down the river fishing at his favorite fishing spot, and if not for my aunt, my great aunt actually, who lived in the 7th Ward, I don't think we would have left. But she called my mom and was like, so who coming to get me? Basically, who's coming to get me? So basically, if she wouldn't have called asking to be picked up and be brought out of the city, because she was, I don't know if I said this, I probably said it, she was from the 7th Ward. Well, she was from the 9th Ward, but she lived in the 7th Ward. Anyways, so she called and she was like, can somebody come get me, please? And if she wouldn't have called, she would have probably, unfortunately, died in the city, along with countless other people who died who just couldn't get out. Thankfully, my dad had just gotten a cell phone around that time for work. And my mom was able to call him and contact him and tell him that his aunt was like, get your butt back home, come get me, let's get the heck out of here, let's go, what are we doing still here? Mind you, we have a little red Saturn L200. Okay, I probably could find the picture. There's some pictures that were taken right when we got back, or right when my dad got back, because my dad came home before we did, because he had like a placard to get back into the city, because he does like, not construction, but maintenance and like inside house stuff, plumbing, electrical. I mean, he could be laying sheetrock and he loves hanging doors, but he does the inside stuff, and they needed people to get back here and fix stuff up so that people can get back home. So my dad didn't stay the whole time. But anyways, so my great aunt, we called her Nanny Doo. She lived in the 7th Ward with her dog, Sugar. The dog was such a cute little rat terrier. Sugar didn't make it for the whole trip. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, oh my goodness. It's times like these, I still kind of wish I had like an alcoholic beverage to indulge in. I don't drink or anything like that anymore, but right now my nerves are bad. Like, I'm willing to even like hit a vape or something. Where's a vape? Just kidding, but eek. Okay. I haven't thought of Sugar in a while. I mean, it's been probably like a couple weeks. But before then, like a long while, probably a couple years. I mean, I think about this at least once a year, and it's just like, you know, your memory is just like, oh, you remember that? And you'd be like, unfortunately, yes, I do. Yes, I do remember. Okay. I'm trying to talk clearly and not have my South Louisiana accent all that heavy. I don't think it's working though. So my dad comes upriver. He goes north and he gets my great aunt from the city. She lived on Bayou Road. I love going back on like Google and like looking at the maps, the satellite, looking at the different dates that the satellite pictures were taken. And also, I love looking at the street view and the different dates that you can look back at stuff. So cool. My dad went and got her, and then my sister, my older sister, was staying at a hotel during this time with her kids, and she had a little van. I'm pretty sure the van came with us. I'm trying to remember it all the way. I don't know if she had a van actually. No, she did not have a van, I don't think. Wait a minute, I'm remembering a little bit more now because I rode with my boyfriend at the time, my ex-boyfriend. And I remember, I think maybe one or two of the kids rode with us because, but see, my sister, I think, acquired a van when we got up there. All of it's so confusing. I should have done more research and asked my family more questions. I didn't ask. I gotta find the notebook. BRB, I gotta find a notebook. Okay, and we're back. It's actually been a while. I could not find my notebook. I found this though. This was from, I brought this with me. It had all of my little notes from my friends And it even has stuff that I printed while I was evacuated. 9/21/2005. And there's other things too, even specifically news reports that were published on August 31st, 2005. So, this is so old and dusty. I almost dropped this. I could not remember. I also found this, but I could not remember if my sister had a van when we evacuated or if she acquired a van during the evacuation. And I'm thinking she got a van up there. When we were up there, she got a van from somebody. I think. Not 100% sure. I remember though that we had, when it was all said and done, we had a 6-car convoy. We started with 2. So I actually just messaged my sister. It is a little bit late, but I'll get a notification if she sends me a message on Facebook. We got it while we evacuated. I thought that. Right. I remember now. See, ask questions. I can't believe it's been 20 years. So yeah, she said, okay, so we had a 6-car convoy. Okay, the 6 cars were originally 2. The 2 cars were originally my dad's Saturn and my ex-boyfriend's grandpa's Expedition. At the time, I was staying with my ex-boyfriend. I remember thinking, oh my goodness, the morning we evacuated, because we were woken up by, I was by my ex-boyfriend's house at this time, we were woken up by the fire trucks going down the neighborhood, and okay, let's kind of start the story here. I feel like this has been like 15 minutes of just rambling, and we're just going to start the story 15 minutes into the video. We're going to actually start the story because I was kind of gathering information. I was kind of going back in time. You know, it's okay. Okay, so this is August. Okay, girl. Okay. So I was at my ex-boyfriend's house at that time. Okay, this is getting a little convoluted. It's getting a little hard to keep up with. It's giving, didn't plan this out. Okay, so I just so happened to be staying at my ex-boyfriend's house the night before we all evacuated. We were woken up to the fire trucks going through the neighborhood on the megaphone saying that a mandatory evacuation has been put in place. Everyone needs to leave now. With their little sirens going, everything, the whole shebang. I can still like close my eyes and hear it and see what was happening that exact moment. But we realized we were going to need to evacuate. No one was planning on evacuating, but then we decided, okay, yeah, we gotta evacuate. The news was saying, look, we're urging everyone to please get out of town. No one has ever really evacuated in my family before this event. So for one, We didn't really know exactly what went into it. We had an idea. We were not rich. We were barely even middle class, okay? But we definitely didn't have extra money we didn't have an emergency fund, okay? We didn't have extra money for emergencies. That was just not something that was in the budget. Let's be real. We were honestly thankful that the lights stayed on. But we definitely didn't have money for like extra things or an emergency, like evacuating for a hurricane, because that costs money. You need gas. You've got to find shelter. You got to find a place to eat. It's crazy. There's a lot of money that goes into that. We did not have that kind of money. So again, we just really weren't prepared to leave. When we packed 2 days worth of clothing. We packed 2 days worth of clothing in like one night of PJs, which looking back is wild because we needed way more than that. Nobody really thought we were going to be gone for that long. We thought, hey, we're going to be evacuated for a day or two, maybe 3. We're not going to be gone long. As soon as the power comes back on, we're good. We're going home. Everything's going to get back to normal. That, my friends, is not what happened in the slightest. So, I am at my ex-boyfriend's house, and they are all starting to pack the vehicle. I have called my mom, and she is like, your dad's down the river. I'm like, down the river? Have you called him? She said, oh yeah, I called him because Nanny Doo called, and she's wanting to be picked up. And he's on his way, but yeah, he was down the river. He is down the river still because he's not home. So as far as I know, he's still fishing. Was he still fishing? No. But he was down the river to her knowledge still. But he was on his way back, and he did go get my aunt, my great aunt, his aunt from the 7th Ward, brought her back to his house to kind of make contact with the rest of the family. So it was my mom and my dad, my little sister, my great aunt, and then my older sister was staying at the hotel with my brother-in-law and not all of her kids, but some of her kids. Her 3 oldest kids were in North Carolina for the summer. And they were supposed to be coming back home within the next few days from the storm happening, but that took a little bit longer, and there's a whole thing about that, and we're just not going to get into it. But she had her 4 youngest children. The other 3 were up north, North Carolina, and they were with family for the summer, and the youngest 3 were still with us. 3? Youngest 4. Youngest 4 were still with us, and it was those 6 people at the hotel with no vehicle. They had no vehicle, so it was them having to get into my dad's vehicle, and then I was calling my parents to see what was going on, and I kind of understood that, okay, Dad was going to get Nanny, and then he's coming back, and they're going to probably figure out a way to fit everyone in this little car. And then I was gauging what was going on with my boyfriend and his family, and it looked like we would have a little bit of room to also bring some of my nieces into this vehicle so we can all kind of convoy together, the 2 vehicles at this point in time, convoy together, so that there's not as many children illegally sitting, because we did not have seatbelts for everyone. There was not enough seats between the 2 vehicles for all the people that was evacuating, because in my ex-boyfriend's vehicle there was his grandpa, his mother, and I'm trying to think where his dad was for all this, because I don't remember. I don't remember if he ended up coming up there as well later on, but I don't think he originally evacuated with us. So in the Expedition, my dad had the little Saturn L200. In the Expedition, there was Pawpaw, Mama, I'm gonna just call her Mama, my ex-boyfriend, his little brothers, me, one of our mutual friends, and then a couple of the kids. I don't know which kids were with us, but I know a couple of them were with us. And I had a mixed CD that we put in the CD player, and I was just really adamant about playing one song, and it was the Charlie Brown song, the and that was like a moment where everyone was just kind of quiet and we just kind of listened to that song. And we are on the road, the two vehicles, we just kind of figure out seating and we get on the road, and not even 3 miles down the road, one of the lug nuts comes off of one of the vehicles. I don't remember if it was my dad's vehicle or my ex-boyfriend's grandpa's vehicle, but one of the lug nuts came off. Luckily we found it, or found one that worked, and we put it on, and then we were like, all right, minor inconvenience, about 10 minutes worth of time looking for this lug nut, and we got it. We're going, we're out of here. So we just continue on going north, because we were living in South Louisiana, so we're going north, and we decide to take LA 18, I believe is River Road. We decide to get on River Road and just go up as far as we could. So we're driving on LA 18, and I don't remember why, but we have to stop. And we stop on the side of the road. It is right by a person's house. They don't like come shoo us away or anything. I don't even know if they noticed, but we stopped, and while we were stopped on River Road, we see 4 cars go by. And then they stop. One of the cars circles around, stops by us, and it's someone we know. It is my ex-boyfriend's best friend's family, and they are in a 4-car convoy. So at this point we're like, hey, let's all stick together, and now we're in a 6-car convoy. And not only that, we can now get everyone in safe seating. Everyone is legally seated now. We're all on this journey together. We just don't know where we're going. And we just continue driving. We continue driving, and not too long after we all get in this 6-car convoy, we stop at this little cute town. I swear it was like this cute little main street. Looked like this cute little town. I just wanted to give it a kiss and stay there forever. But we stopped at this cute little town to use the restroom, and we were not the only people doing that. There was lines. Again, it was just chaotic everywhere. People were trying to get away from the hurricane, and everywhere people were just like going and going, and everywhere had people stopping to get gas or stopping for the bathroom. It just seemed like so many people were displaced already and it just didn't seem normal. Everywhere we stopped, it felt like an amusement park, and not because of the fun, maybe because of the sense of danger and thrill, but definitely not the fun part. But everywhere we went, there was lines and just so many people, and everyone, it looked, nobody, we didn't really talk that much. Nobody looked like they knew what was going on. And we didn't. We really didn't know what was going on. But you could tell it was just this somber feeling that was like over everyone. This just melancholy vibe that was hard to shake, for sure. So we stopped for a little bathroom break after we got this 6-car convoy, and then we start going, and we're just moving on. Again, so much traffic. Everywhere we stop, there's traffic and lines, and that's expected. We're all evacuating. It's such a high population area that's evacuating, and we're all trying to go to the same place, north. You're just trying to go north, get out of the way, or east or west. You're just trying to go so that you can get out of Dodge. You don't want to get affected by the hurricane. You definitely don't want to be gridlocked while the hurricane's moving past. So everyone, I think, was just trying their best to get the heck out of there. I remember it took all day to get to the first place that we slept, which we were about to all just sleep in the car. So there was a lot of traffic, a lot of downpours that came. I guess the outer bands, maybe. The hurricane was already, I guess, producing outer bands, and there was rain, it was gridlock, there was gas stations with lines that it appeared to be miles long. It was so chaotic. Everyone was trying to leave, and then don't forget, as we're leaving, there's people that could not get out. There was people still at home, just like, all right, cool, we're just gonna have to do this. So there was just tension everywhere, because you knew you were going, but you knew someone that stayed. You knew someone that stayed behind. And it was just very frightening leaving. We finally get to around Opelousas, Alexandria area that evening. It's dark, it's late, it's literally almost the next day. And we stop to get gas, and at that point we're thinking, I guess we'll just stay here, sleep for the night, and regroup in the morning. And I'm about to cry right now. Oh my gosh. Whew. We were just like, all right, cool, we're just gonna stay here. Like, there's not anything we can do at this moment, so we're just gonna kick it right here. Luckily though, somebody, I guess, that worked there or came in there to get something from the gas station, directed us into the direction of a shelter. It wasn't like a recognized shelter, so we were only able to stay there for one night, and the next day, whenever they were trying to figure out the logistics of it, they were like, hey, you can't stay here. But that night we did have a place to go, and it was in Palmetto. I have been looking and looking and looking, scouring Google Earth, trying to find the compound, whatever. It was like 2 buildings. There was like a building that was like to the left of the little road you went on, which was only 30 feet from like the little small town highway. But when you went on the road that brought you to the facility, to the left there was the sleeping quarters, and then to the right there was like the kitchen and eating kitchen, the cafeteria, whatever it was called. And we got there, we settled in these little bunk bed areas, and we slept for the night. The next morning, after we ate breakfast, after they cooked breakfast for us, so thankful, oh my gosh, so thankful. But after we had breakfast, they informed us that because they were not recognized as like a shelter for these type of events, they would not legally be able to keep us there any longer. I guess it just was not possible something, the paperwork, the fine print, whatever you want to call it, it just wasn't possible for us to stay there. So we were on the road again.
Let me also add that this was the first day that we were able to get any news reports on what was happening back home. We had a little radio, and that radio kept up with what was going on the AM stations.
So at that point, we were on the road again. We at least had a place to sleep the first night we were away, and we had a meal, but we didn't know where we were going. We ended up driving not too far from there to a place that my brother-in-law was familiar with, a place that he spent time in his youth at, a place that his family members still resided in, a place very, very far away from home. If you've seen Princess Tiana, that little firefly that's like, oh, you first report, it felt very far away. It was very, very far away from home at that point. But thankfully he remembered, and thankfully the people still lived there, but he remembered how to get to a house which was either a family member's house or someone he knew. And so my brother-in-law goes inside this house, and shortly after he comes outside with the occupants of the house, and they see all 6 vehicles filled to the brim with people. And they, I guess, offer up their vacation home. Not really a vacation home. What is it? It's pew pew. A cabin, the hunter's cabin, a deer den. I don't know. Some miles down the road, what felt like a long, long, long ride down the road, but we ended up going down the road to their deer camp, and it was in Pitkin, Louisiana. So the first night we stayed in Palmetto, Louisiana. The second night we were in Pitkin, Louisiana at a little deer camp, and we stayed there for a night. The folks that lived there, or the folks that usually go there, whoever owned the property, some of their little hoodlum kids went down there. They probably weren't really hoodlums, but country boys are always kind of hoodlum, aren't they? I mean, the same can probably be said about city boys now. Don't get me wrong. But these little country boys had us city folk out there in the woods with a flashlight and a trash bag going hunt snipes. If you know, you know.
This was also the time where we had unlimited access to a television, and the news reports were awful. I did not want to hear any of the news reports. So even hunting for snipe under the pretense in which people hunt for snipe in that manner, i.e. making fun of city folk, I didn't even mind it, okay? I really didn't mind it.
So we're in the woods that night at the camp, just trying to make the best of an awful situation. We have running water at least, we can all take showers, and there is food. So we have a few tents that we pitch on the outside because it is like a trailer and there's not enough places on the inside for everyone to sleep. So we do have some tents set up, but in the meantime we're out there in the woods with these flashlights and garbage bags hunting for snipes. Snipes are a real thing, but that's not how you hunt for them. So the next day rolls around, and yet again we are told we can't stay here any longer. felt like a gut punch. Here's the kicker. I think there was some racial motives behind that, because my brother-in-law and his direct family, i.e. my sister, me, my little sister, my mom, my dad, I'm guessing my boyfriend's family too, we were told we could stay, but the other family had to go. Which, mind you, the other family, the 4-car convoy that we met up with, were different races, different colors, all beautiful, but they weren't all palm colored. So I fully believe it was some racial motives behind them being kicked out, and then us being told we could stay. Anyways, we didn't stay. We didn't stay at all. We all left. We were like, yeah, nah, that's cool. If they're leaving, we're leaving. We all came together. We're all leaving together, and that's what we did. We left. We understood, okay, so they're not welcome. We're not welcome. We're not welcome. Okay, and honestly, and this sounds kind of crazy thinking about it, but like, I really, for real, did not think they still had people like that. I thought that was the type of people we learned about in books, but I didn't think they was still walking the world and like spewing their hate. But anyways, I learned that hard truth in August of 2005. And ever since then, I was like, oh, okay, y'all are still out here. So again, we have nowhere to go. So we are leaving Pitkin, going up to Dry Creek. We don't really know where to go, but we were told maybe in Dry Creek the church can do something. It's a love-hate relationship, but it's more love. I guarantee you it's more love. But we ended up at Dry Creek Baptist Church camp. So we were told to go down the road to this church camp, and they actually said, yeah, come on. Come on in. We have a few others that are here as well. We are going to try and make accommodations, and y'all are more than welcome to come stay here until we figure out what's going on. So we were now on the third night at Dry Creek Baptist Summer Camp, I believe. There was a little gas station that was kind of like across the way. Best boudin I have literally ever had in my entire life. My lips feel dry. Best boudin ever. Oh my goodness. Nom nom nom. I don't know what area code that is, but I know 504 and 337 and 985 oftentimes fight about who cooks better Cajun or Creole food. The best boudin I've ever had was in Dry Creek, Louisiana. Maybe it was DeRitter. It might have technically been DeRitter, but I think it was Dry Creek. So we have now found a place to stay. All of us. Every car that was with us, all 6 cars in the convoy, have now found a place to rest their heads and actually get some rest, because we were tired. We were tired. It was a long few days. We had a weather radio, and we were able to keep up with what was going on in New Orleans. And at that point, we kind of felt like we weren't going to have anywhere to go home to. The reports were coming out that literally both sides of the river were having crazy flooding, which turned out to not be true. Not nearly as true. There might have been some flooding around the canals, but that would have probably been localized. And it didn't really damage anything water-wise that I know of.
So let me just add a little context right here. So I said that I didn't think much flooding happened on the West Bank of New Orleans, but if you look at the West Bank now, almost all houses that are on the canal have a raised foundation at this point in time. Looking at the houses that are next to canals, now having that raised foundation just show you that something did happen during Katrina, because they all started getting raised after Katrina, or it came close to happening. We have a heavy rainstorm. The canals can fill up and even overflow just in a rainstorm. So I can only imagine how it was during Hurricane Katrina.
By my house, we did have wind damage, but we didn't really have any like water damage due to rising waters or levees that broke. Broken levees. Broke. Broke. Okay. Conspiracy or real life? Some people think they heard bombs. And some people say it was probably just barges colliding. Who's right? I mean, why would they want to flood the Ninth Ward instead of the French Quarter? And also, about that, my grandmother died like a year before Katrina. My paternal grandmother, and she was buried in her old neighborhood, which is in the Ninth Ward. And something I just can't stop thinking about was the fact that she was probably flooded. You know, New Orleans cemeteries are above ground, and even with her being above ground, like I'm not confident that water didn't go into her little mausoleum or whatever the little tombs are called. It's, I guess, a single or a double tomb. I'm not sure. I don't remember. My dad said we can't go there alone. Anyways, that's beside the point. But conspiracy theory aside, our area didn't get flooding, but a lot of the city did get flooding, and we weren't technically inside the city limits. My great aunt was, and her house had massive damage. I don't even think she ever was able to go back to her house in the 7th Ward, and she ended up staying, I think, with us for the rest of her life. Or no, she did go to an old folks home. What is a senior citizens home? I don't know what the appropriate term is. A nursing home. Anyways, let's get back to the subject. We were at Dry Creek, Louisiana. Oh, my light's off. They said we were okay to hang out there until we found some more stuff out. So we stayed there for a while, just playing cards outside and listening to the radio, eating at the cafeteria area. They were cooking for us, and then they ended up finding donations from people in the community, and we were able to get clothing, which was desperately needed.
So here is where I will talk a little bit about my love-hate relationship with Dry Creek. So I said earlier that it's a love-hate relationship. It's more love. But the only reason there's not actually hate, but that's, the saying, a love-hate relationship. But the only reason that there's a little dislike is we got clothing from them that was donated to us, right? We didn't have anything. We were very thankful. However, some of those clothing items had words written on the butt area. And they ended up making a rule that we couldn't have pants that had writing on the butt. And it was just kind of silly because, hey, we got these clothes from you because we didn't have anything else, but we can't wear them? Okay, okay, sure. That makes perfect sense. I'll just turn them inside out, and then I'll still have a pair of pants, and we're all in compliance.
We were able to get a few things that just made us feel like people again, with belongings and things that we could call ours. We were able to get different things, and then we attended church on Sunday.
I received a Precious Moments Bible during that time, and I still have it to this day.
And after a few weeks, realizing that, hey, we don't really know how long y'all are going to be here, but we feel obligated to get these kids in school. So we ended up going to school out there, and I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't like it. So we would just be playing cards or like just listening to the radio. And then as soon as it was time, or as soon as it was allowed for people to go back into the city, we went back into the city. I didn't, but some people in our group went back into the city to go pick up a few people that stayed behind. So at this point, my dad went back to the city because he had to check a few things, and then he came back here, or came back to where we were, and then my ex-boyfriend's grandpa went back into the city. So they end up taking a trip back and bringing some people back with them. So at this point, it's almost like double the amount of people that we had originally had in the 6-car convoy, because now we had one other family of 4, and then 4 other people, which I guess the government would have listed as single, but 4 other people. So that was like 8 people. And then we had animals with us too. My nanny had a dog. My ex-boyfriend's family had a dog. My ex-boyfriend's best friend's family had some dogs. I think we had lots of animals as well as people. My camera is overheating, so I think I'm going to have to stop here and pick up on it tomorrow. Okay, where did we leave off? So we are at this church camp, and everyone's starting to get settled in, and we just patiently wait for any word on what we can do, if we can leave, what's going on back home. We had a television, I think, hooked up in the cafeteria, so we were able to get some information when we were either having breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then of course the parents were talking to the leaders of the facility and getting information that way as well. But for the most part, we just kind of hunkered down and waited for any word. As soon as they lifted the ban in the city, I guess the curfew was still in place, but they lifted like the ban, which kept people out of the city. It kept people from returning to the city. Once they lifted that ban, my dad had to go back for work, and my ex-boyfriend's grandpa went back to pick up people that got left behind. Some people that stayed behind that were desperately needing to get picked up and brought out of the desolate area in which was New Orleans at the time. So they went and picked up more people. My dad went and just checked on everything and got word with his officials at his job site and got his placard and all kinds of other things, got everything in a row, and then he came back by us just to drop supplies, give us a little bit of cash, just get us whatever we needed before he left and went back to work. So they opened up the city again, not for people to go back and stay indefinitely, but they did open it up for people to come check on their belongings, check on their houses, check on any family members that might have been left behind and get them family members. What? So they opened up the city again, not for residents to come back and move home, but for residents to come check on their properties, get any people that they may have left behind, and just overall look but don't stay. Now my dad was able to stay because he had business to do there. He was big in rebuilding, so he was able to go without much problems. I don't remember if my dad and my ex-boyfriend's grandpa like both left at the same time, like they were in different vehicles, but I don't remember the timing of it, if they lined up together. I just remember they both left, and my dad came back, like dropped off a few supplies. He had all his paperwork in order. He had to get back to the city to start rebuilding a lot of the rental properties that the business my dad works for owns. So that was happening, and my ex-boyfriend's grandpa was coming back with people that was left at his house. The people that stayed behind, they chose to stay behind because one, we really didn't have enough room for everyone in the car, and two, I think they suspected it would be a couple days. They didn't think it was going to be as long as it actually was. So Grandpa brings a few people back with him, and not only does he bring those people back with him, but one of the people he brings back with him has a cousin, and their family kind of convoyed with them coming back to our location at the church camp. So now we have so many people. I don't even know if I can count on two sets of hands how many people we had. Let's see. Let's start. What did we come to the conclusion with earlier? Okay. My mom, my dad, my sister's husband, my sister's 4 youngest kids, me, my ex-boyfriend, his 2 brothers, his mom, his grandpa, and then our mutual friend. So 16 people originally in the 2-car convoy, and then we met up with the other 4 cars. So 16 plus the mom and dad, 17, 18, plus 4 brothers, 22, 23, including the brother's girlfriend, 23 people, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more people came. So 24 people plus your 8 people. We had 32. Yes, 32. We had 32 people all together. That was just trying to survive. It's a lot of people. So once we were all at the church camp, 30 minutes until my daughter has class. Whoopsies. I'm trying to do this kind of quickly, but it's not really working all that great. So 32 people all together in our little group. We had a couple different rooms. I don't know what the dog's barking at. We had a few extra spots in our little dorm, and then the next room over housed a lot of the other people from our group. And we were not the only people there. There was so many people at this facility. There was so many different cabins that had multiple rooms, that had multiple bunks inside of each room. And all of it was just about filled. Everything was just about filled. And we also had tons of animals with us. My great aunt brought her dog, Sugar, with her. And unfortunately, Sugar passed away while we were at the church camp. We asked the camp if we could bury the dog there. Like, what should we do? Normally we would just bury our dog in like our yard, back to the earth, that sort of thing. The camp said, yes, that is absolutely fine. We will even get you a shovel. We found a good place under a tree to bury Sugar, and we did bury Sugar under the tree. Oh, poor Sugar. So my great aunt did not take that very well. That was her companion. That was her person. That was her love. She had long lost her spouse, so Sugar was all she had left. 30 minutes. I'm trying to think of the amount of dogs we had with us, and I think it was a lot. We had Sugar, Jackal. I don't remember the name of the little Snoodle dog. Did we call it Snoodle? I don't know. And then my ex-boyfriend's best friend's family had like 3 dogs. So let's just put like 3 more. So I know for a fact we had like 6 dogs, if not more dogs than that, and maybe some cats with us. Eventually, we were there for so long that the camp highly suggested, recommended, even forced, if we're being honest, the children to go to school at the school that was up the highway from the church camp, which that school just so happened to be East Beauregard High School, and that is where I had to join the 4-H club. I had to join an extracurricular club, and I just had to be in some of the classes that normally I would be in. My schedule back home was all messed up anyways, and I was trying to get the schedule fixed before the hurricane came. So my schedule was like even more messed up when going to East Beauregard High School. The rest of the school had uniforms. Louisiana, I'm not sure if it's all of Louisiana, but a lot of Louisiana has uniforms. It is a requirement for public schools. They had uniforms at East Beauregard High School and the elementary school and the junior high school, but we didn't really have to wear them because we didn't have clothing with us. I remember specifically finding some khakis and a shirt that I was able to wear that mimicked their school uniform, so I didn't feel out of place in that aspect or regard. I just remember going to school. I think the first day we had like an assembly in the gym, and after the assembly we went to our classes and started to get used to how everything was going to be. And some of the things I have in here I printed when I was in, which all this looks so bad, but again, it's 20 years old. 9/21/2005. So some of these things I printed in my study hall. Most of it, I'm going to go back, most of it is coloring pages like that, but then some of it, I don't even know where it is. Where is it? Is it still here? Yeah, so I don't know where it is now, but somewhere in here I had Halloween treat ideas because it was getting closer to Halloween. 9/21 is the date that most of these have on the bottom. Back then when you printed stuff off of the web, a date was almost always included. So some of the stuff that I also printed then was for Halloween, because at that point in time it looked like we were going to stay there for Halloween. So by this point in time, when everyone's in school, all of us are just trying to assimilate to this country, little town, trying to not be too out of place, trying to fit in. My older sister and her husband, my brother-in-law, but they end up getting a van donated to them and a little trailer at the lake. There's this lake called Bundick Lake out there. They got a trailer at the lake in a van because my sister's husband got a job out in Moss Bluff, I believe it was. So they needed the van. At this point in time, we needed to feel like this was home, because it wasn't, and we were having to stay here and learn this different way of life because we are city slickers. We are from the city. We are from the city. I remember when we were going out there, my ex-boyfriend's best friend's mother, rest her soul now, but I'll never forget, she was like, don't tell anyone you're from New Orleans. It's like, what do you mean? Like, we're New Orleans people are so proud. Like, you'll know when a New Orleans person is in a room with you. But she was like, just don't tell nobody you're from. Just say you're evacuated from the storm. Don't say it's specifically New Orleans. And that's because at the time, the news reports that were coming out painted New Orleanians in the worst light possible. It became this, oh, they're looting for shoes and TVs and nobody cares about survival. They only care about profit. They only care about getting these cool things and selling them or keeping them for themselves. No one's looting grocery stores, which was not true. That was not true. Like, sure, there were people that were looting some of the retailers on Canal Street. Okay, sure. That's not to say that it wasn't happening at grocery stores. There were grocery stores that were being looted. There was little corner stores that were being looted because they needed food. It was not like they were going in there and just saying, hey, let's get this fifth of vodka and a pack of cigarettes. No, it was like, all right, let's get these chips. Let's get this can of food. Like, a lot of the perishable items at that point in time would have already been moldy and perished. It would not have been safe to consume a lot of those items at that point in time. So all you had was like chips and crackers and canned food. You'd be lucky if you were able to get it heated up. And this is just from, like, if you were still in the New Orleans area. This is what our friends that stayed was just kind of telling us it was like back home when they were still there after the storm. So my sister and her boyfriend or husband got a nice little trailer. It was for somebody, but I guess, I don't know if they passed away or moved out or if they were like in a nursing home now. I don't remember the situation, but it was a trailer on Bundick Lake, and it was perfect. It was just what we needed to kind of feel as though we belonged, even though it wasn't our home. So going down to Bundick Lake was always fun. You can go a little bit past the dam. Is it a dam? I don't know if it would be considered a spillway. That's what it was called, a spillway. It was like a little spillway, but if you went past the spillway like a mile down that creek, it was a perfect area for having a picnic and like swimming in the creek. That was one thing that I did enjoy. I do enjoy going camping and like going out into the country for small periods of time. I don't really think I could live there. I'm sorry, it would be really hard. Like, sometimes I romanticize living out on the farm. Some of my family came from the farm, but I'm a city slicker. I've been a city slicker for a while, 36 years to be exact, thank you. So thinking about living out there, even now, is like, ugh. And when I was like a hot-headed teenager, oh no, I can't stand it here. When are we going to be able to go back home? I cannot wait to just get back home. I did enjoy the lake though. I did enjoy going creek swimming. There was a couple spots. There was one that was on Bundick Lake, up the spillway a little bit. And then there was another one that was in Dry Creek. I'm trying to think of what direction. I think if you went south down that highway that start with a 3, maybe, let me look. Let's see, Dry Creek Baptist Camp, 113. I think it's Highway 1113. 1113. I think it's, I knew there was a 3 there. Yeah, LA 113 or 394. I knew there was a 3. Yeah, no, I think you went down 113 to Campbell Road. And there was like a little creek down that way. There, yeah, there's the, okay, yeah, down Campbell Road, and there's a little creek. I can see it. It's by, okay, this says Campbell Road, but it also says Morrow Bridge Road. So there was a little creek. I'm literally looking at it right now. Oh my gosh. You would just go down, and yeah, the creek was right over there. The campground itself was pretty neat, I guess. I was very thankful they had the campground, for sure, for sure. They had the tabernacle. Where is... It looks like it's changed. It looks like it's changed. I did enjoy creek swimming, and we did a lot of fishing while we were out there. I love fishing. My dad is a fisherman, so I've always just enjoyed fishing. We were out there going to Bundick Lake, and we see someone fishing on the side of the road, right? And we're like, hey, y'all catching? What's going on? What you got? What you fishing for? It was an alligator on the other side. And he's like, look, I'm done with this. Y'all can even have the pole. I can't leave it. But if y'all want to take over, fine. But there was probably about a 4-foot alligator. Not that big, not that small. I mean, that's kind of small. But look, if you're not deep in Louisiana, that might seem big to you. But not that big, not that small. It was literally doing its attack roll, the barrel roll or whatever, trying to get away from the hook. But it was just rolling itself more into the string, and it was just, eventually it popped the string and it got away, and we got a new fishing pole. But I just remember being like, what are we gonna even do if we catch this alligator? Like, I don't think you can just catch an alligator. So we had some fun out there. My ex-boyfriend was learning how to drive at that time, so his grandpa did in fact let him take the little car out, and we went down some country roads. They weren't taking us home, not yet at least, but we did have a little bit of fun out there. We stayed at least until the 21st of September, because that's when I printed these things out. But actually I can give you a more accurate representation, because we did stay at the camp for quite some time. I'm going to try and find some pictures, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more about it. So September 21st, 2005 is when I printed that stuff from the library at school. We were at Dry Creek Baptist Camp until we had to evacuate. Yes, we were already evacuated from Katrina, right? We were not at home. We were evacuated. But then word came that we had to evacuate the camp we were staying at, the shelter, whatever you want to call it. We had to leave because Hurricane Rita was fast approaching the exact area that we were evacuated in. So right here I'm looking at when Hurricane Rita made landfall, and it made landfall on the Louisiana-Texas border, which, if you don't know, DeRidder, Dry Creek, Leesville, that whole area, they got hit by Rita. Lake Charles, that whole area over there was hit by Hurricane Rita. So unfortunately we had to leave, and this is saying that it hit the Louisiana-Texas border on September 23rd. So I'm sitting here at school printing these little pages on the 21st, and then literally a couple days later, 1-2 days later, we're told we have to leave because they did not want us to still be there when the hurricane hit. Not only that, but basically when we were leaving, before we even really left, maybe a day or two before we left, there was another group of people coming from Texas. They were evacuating for Rita, and they ended up at our little church camp, and they caused some problems with our little hot-headed members from New Orleans, and they actually, I believe, got into a fight. I think one of the little Texas dudes and one of the little New Orleans dudes got into a fight. I don't even know why the Texas dudes was there, because we were literally being told we need to leave the facility. because they didn't want anyone there during the hurricane. But these Texas dudes, I guess they were getting kicked out too, but I guess maybe the arrival of these other people from Texas, and it made them realize, well, this is going to be a lot worse than what it is now. We're not equipped at doing this. We cannot handle any more people. So they started to, one, tell everyone that was on the premises they needed to leave, and two, not let anyone else come and join in the shelter that we were staying at. Again, I was like 16, so I barely remember all the logistics of it. I do know that we had to get vaccinated while we were there. They made us all get vaccinated. We all had to like line up, and I remember there was like the same room that we had to get vaccinated in was like the phone room, and there was always a line to the phone. There was like 2 phones hooked up, but there was always a line because obviously everyone is trying to get in touch with their family members. Everyone's trying to get in touch with their loved ones. Everyone's trying to see, well, I haven't heard from them. How are they? Are they okay? Phone lines were such a pain trying to get through anywhere. It was very hard, but I do remember if you had a Nextel phone, you had connection, you had network, you were able to make calls out, receive calls in. Nextel was the phone to have at that point in time because it was seriously the only phone that was really working. I think Sprint was working too. I don't think they were not like affiliated at that time, but I don't think they were, at least. I might be wrong. Who knows? Like I said, I was 16 back then. But Nextel was like the only phone that was working. So like, chirp me, right? Chirp. And it wasn't only just the chirp that was working. It was like, for real, the phone was working. So you could call people. But again, it was really hard to get to some of the other, like AT&T or T-Mobile or any of the other phone companies that existed. I don't even remember them. But a lot of them were not working. It was so crazy. And okay, so the 23rd is when Rita hit the area that we were staying in. So we had to leave. I remember, I don't know where everyone went at that point in time. I'm not sure, because I got into the car with my ex-boyfriend, and then my mom and my sisters and my nanny Do and my brother-in-law and my nieces and nephew, they were all kind of together. And I don't know if they ended up just driving back home. I'm not sure if they just drove back home and was like, man, forget this, or what. I don't remember where it was they went. I don't remember if like my dad came to get my mom and them. I think I remember my sister being, my older sister, they went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, just like we went to Hot Springs, Arkansas with my ex-boyfriend's family. We went to Hot Springs, Arkansas after leaving the Lake Charles, DeRidder, Moss Bluff, Dry Creek area. When we left that area, we just went north. We were like, I guess, let's just get the heck out of Louisiana. Okay, let's go. So we went to Hot Springs, Arkansas. Lovely place. I've only been there that one time, but actually I was just recently thinking about trying to take a little family trip there. So cool. It would be under such different circumstances, so I would probably be able to actually enjoy the scenery and being out there. But when we were out there the first time, when we were evacuated for Hurricane Rita, it wasn't all that fun. But I do remember now that my sister was up there with her children and her husband, boyfriend, boo thing, whoever, whatever, my brother. I call him my brother. I call him my brother more than I call her my sister sometimes. But anyways, we were up there. I don't remember where my mom and I think my dad ended up going to pick her up. I think he was like, all right, I'm coming. Like, it's not the same back home, but what are they gonna do? Like, I have my placard. I need to be in the city, but where are y'all gonna go? I can't just leave y'all out on the street because they're saying everyone needs to leave. I'm pretty sure he went and got them and brought them back home, and they just roughed it until slowly things started opening again. That's one thing about hurricanes. It's not necessarily the storm itself that gets people, it's the aftermath. It's not having electricity for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in this case. Like, it was a long time before things got back to normal. And a lot of people will tell you now it's still not back to normal. 20 years ago, we're still reeling in, recovering from that. Believe me when I say it's something that has literally scarred the people that were here that had to endure it, the people that had to live through it, the people that had to rebuild. It's literally here, no different than Camille or Betsy left her mark on the Gulf Coast and New Orleans. It's not that much different. So Betsy really messed up New Orleans, and Camille really messed up Biloxi, the Biloxi area, Gulfport, the Mississippi Gulf Coast. One of my favorite places. I don't care what anyone says about it. Yes, I know the water is brown, but yes, I know scientifically why that is. Okay? If you don't want the brown water, go to one of the barrier islands and go to the other side, not the side facing Mississippi, but go to the other side and you'll have a whole lot clearer water. Okay? Okay. So, I love that area, but I know I've said it before, that area was completely decimated. The Mississippi Gulf Coast was leveled. It looked like a bulldozer came in and just leveled everything. It's, as New Orleans folks say, it ain't there no more. And in New Orleans, yeah, it was a shite storm, but there's still landmarks that have been here for decades. There's still landmarks that have been there since before I was born. There's still things that have stood the test of time, even hurricanes in New Orleans, whereas, again, the Mississippi Gulf Coast was leveled. I just always like to make a point to reiterate that and try and bring it home for people, because not everyone realizes that New Orleans, per usual, got all the attention when there was other places that were really suffering just as bad, if not worse. So if you have a chance to talk to somebody at the Mississippi Gulf Coast about Katrina, definitely do it, because New Orleans wasn't the only place that had problems or got hit. And a matter of fact, the eastern side of the storm was the Gulfport, Biloxi, Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian, Long Beach. It was that area, Ocean Springs, that area just got completely almost wiped off the mat. If not for the people that rebuilt that area, it would have been wiped off the mat. I said mat, wiped off the mat, wiped off the map. It would have been wiped off the map if not for those people who rebuilt. So we evacuated. We went to Hot Springs, Arkansas. It felt like the longest drive in the world, but so did the other drive when we were driving away from the main storm, the first time and the second time. The third time when we left the little deer camp or whatever, the drive up to DeRidder from Pitkin that didn't feel all that bad. It didn't feel like all the other times that we had to drive to find shelter, find a place to stay. When we got to Hot Springs, we were able to use a voucher from FEMA, I guess, and it was for hotel stay, I believe. I think we tried to use the voucher. Maybe it didn't work, because I remember we ended up staying at the Embassy Suites Hotel, but I think we stayed there because Papa worked at Hilton, and I'm thinking that, like, they were kind of, let's see. Is Embassy Suites and Hilton the same company? How long have they been part of the same company though? So they are definitely the same company as Hilton, and I remember we went to go see about the voucher, but I'm thinking there was a problem and we weren't able to either get the voucher or redeem the voucher. So that's why we ended up going to Embassy Suites, because Popol was affiliated with that brand. He worked at Hilton. He worked at the Hilton Garden in downtown Louisiana, New Orleans area. I said downtown Louisiana. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Downtown New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay? Oh my gosh. This video is like, it's so hard to do. I have not found my notes, and I've had to like message a few people and be like, hey, do you remember? Because I cannot for the life of me remember, nor find my like 12-page diary entry right after it happened. Because I remember being like, I need to write this down while it's all fresh. I need to write this down before I forget. What the heck just happened, okay? And look at me now. Look at me now, 20 years later. I don't remember. So, we ended up staying at the Embassy Suites. It was a beautiful hotel. We stayed pretty high up, and we were overlooking Lookout Mountain. Is that what it was called? No, Lookout Mountain's not over there. I've been to Lookout Mountain. What is the mountain in Hot Springs? What's the mountain in Hot Springs? Hot Springs Mountain. I guess it's just Hot Springs Mountain. But I believe our window, you can see the mountain tower from Hot Springs Mountain. It's called Hot Springs Mountain. I don't know why. I didn't know it was called that. We did do a little sightseeing while we were there. Not much. I don't remember how long we were there for. I don't think it was very long, to be honest. And I think I have pictures from the Halloween when we got back. Because we just kind of like, we're like, yes, we're home. And we didn't care that we were 16 and too old for Halloween. We were like, we're dressing up, we are partying, we are having fun. And we did. I have pictures. I'm going to try and find some of the pictures. I have a picture from 2004 when I was in school, the 2004 school year. So that was 2004, 2005. And I'm going to show you that picture. And then I have a picture, the only picture that was taken when I was out in DeRidder. I don't know why it looks like I'm handing a joint to you. I was not, I promise. I don't know. Even though at that point in time I was a degenerate teenager, that's not what I was doing. But for some reason it looks like I'm trying to hand you the peace pipe. I'm going to try and find those pictures and we'll add them. And I think I have a picture from when I was in Halloween. I dressed up as like a Playboy bunny. I don't know why. I have no idea. I think I still have the dress. Oh my goodness.
So I have a couple more photos. This is right when my dad got back, and a picture of the neighbor's tree, which has fallen. And this next picture is Gretna Heritage Festival 2005. It is marked November 2005. I'm not sure when the Gretna Heritage Fest was in 2005, if it was the regular weekend or not, but those were some pictures directly around the Katrina experience of mine.
So I don't know how long we were in Hot Springs for, probably no longer than a week. As soon as we were able to get our butts back home, we got our butts back home. So that was probably the end of September, beginning of October. I don't remember when we went back to school. I don't remember how long before the schools in our area opened up. Each school had a different timeline. Each school had different damage. Each school needed different things before they were able to open up. And I don't remember when my school opened back up. But whenever it did open back up, we did go back to school. But there were so many problems going back to school after that. It was so hard to to focus on schoolwork for sure. So honestly, trying to get back into school was like one of the hardest things because all the records were, where did they go? Where did they go? Where did they go? We didn't have any records. My schedule got so messed up after Katrina. Like, my schedule was like already messed up and I was trying to get it fixed. I was in geometry and I had never even taken algebra yet. Like, my whole, it was just messed up. And I remember I was trying to get reconciliation before Katrina, and then after Katrina it was like we're just going to throw you in these classes and we're going to hope it's okay. But it wasn't. It was even worse than it was before. So it was really hard trying to get back into the swing of the school year, even though it had just begun before we left. It was so hard to get back because everything that we had started to do, started to learn, the schedule we started to have, all went out the window. It was not the same schedule as it was before. Alright, I feel like I've been sitting here trying to tell this story for no less than 2 hours. It was about an hour last night that I tried to tell this story, and now an hour this morning. It's actually almost no longer morning, so I feel like I've wasted the morning, but I don't think I've wasted it because, again, I've wanted to do this video for quite some time. I think somewhere on a hard drive there is me trying to do this video more than just once, and it just never really worked out, and it's never been posted. I don't know if I'll be able to find that footage. My husband's cutting the grass right now. I think he's just about finished. I was trying to finish this video before he came, and I need to go take a shower. I know he's gonna need to take a shower when he gets in, but I wanted to hurry up and do this video and then go take a quick shower. So we got back home, took a while before school got back in, and really we were just trying to live our best teenage lives at that point in time. We were all back home, we were all happy to be back home, but again, it just wasn't really the same as before. My husband's taking a little break. I'm looking at him on the camera. It just feels weird filming when people are listening or watching me, so I try and do it when I have a little bit of free time, like everyone's occupied, and I'm able to just freely sit. It's quite hard, let me tell you. Keeping a house and keeping everyone happy, quite hard to do these extracurricular hobby activities. Okay, he's going to blow the yard. I have a couple minutes, which is great because I literally only have a few minutes until the story is complete. Really, it was just at this point in time trying to get back into the swing of things at home, getting things rebuilt, and trying to restart for the most part. Trying to pick up where you left off was impossible, so it was really just a lot of restarting and trying to get back to a routine, even though there was really no way to get back into a routine at that point in time. It was definitely an adventure going through all of that, and my story is similar to so many other people's stories, and it's also not as bad as some people's stories. Yes, it was very traumatic, everything we went through, but there were some people that had way more traumatic experiences. There's a lot of media out there that you can watch if you are interested. There is When the Levees Broke, there's Katrina, Babies, just to name two of my favorites. And then there's something that just recently came out. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched anything Katrina related yet because I wanted to do this video before going back that deep. I wanted to just recount my memories without being influenced by other people's memories and portrayals that are shown in some of these documentaries. And also some of them are just like literally filmed during the event, and I just didn't want to get back in that headspace just quite yet. I wanted to do this first, and now I'm going to start consuming Katrina media. The day of the anniversary, the 20th anniversary, I am probably going to just watch Katrina stuff and cry the whole day. Not even joking. So, but that's basically everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next one. I know this was such a downer of a video, but I just wanted to document it. There was a lot of people there, and a lot of people share this exact same story with me, and I don't know if any of them have ever made a video or done anything like this, but I wanted to do it for the sake of me remembering. But that's everything. See you later. Bye.